Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Learning Design and Leadership Info session with the College of Education at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I am Travis Giffen, the Assistant Director of Online Programs. Just want to very quickly thank you all for coming tonight. This is going to be recorded, so if you miss anything, we will get the recording out to you after the event. It should show up in your inbox about 12 hours afterwards. So just want to let everybody know that. And with that to say, I won't take up any more time, and I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Cope.
Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Bill Cope, and the aim of this session is to introduce you to the Learning Design Leadership Program. And we've got a number of people involved in the program who are here with us tonight. Now, something funny's happened to this slide, because on the left was the URL and a bit of an agenda for this session, but I'll tell you what that agenda is. The agenda is we're going to describe the program a little bit later. We're going to introduce you to the main people. We're going to describe the program, and a little bit later we'll actually walk you into one of the areas where some of our students are working if I might hit enter. Okay, thank you. Yes. This is progressively moving forward through the slides. Sorry, we've been doing these slides jointly today, and everybody does slides differently. So we're going to meet the team. We're going to understand the program requirements, learn about the course offerings, delivery modes, and also that is the website, which there's a screenshot of here on the right. Learning Design Leadership Program. ldlprogram.web.illinois.edu. So a lot of what we're talking about is there on the website, and there's a screenshot of the first page of the website. Just to introduce you to the people in the program, and I realized that one of the most important people in the program we haven't got here, and that's Gina Foff. Thank you for being here, Gina. Gina's our student services person who keeps us all on the road and keeps everything working nicely. So I'm Bill Cope. Mary Kalantzis is going to speak about the program shortly. Cara is here, and again, if I press enter, look at that. There you go. She is our program and dissertation advisor. So she advises all our students about program requirements, but is heavily involved in the EDD program and our doctoral programs. Nancy Tsiridi is a teaching assistant, as is Stuart, as is Akash. So this is our team. Yes. And there's the teaching assistants are the ones that again keep us moving along practically. Now I'm going to hand over to Mary now, who's going to introduce herself a little bit about who she is and what she does in the program, and she's going to talk about some of these key ideas in the program.
Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to you all. We really appreciate your interest in our program, our college and our university. And as Bill said, we're going to give you one slice of what's on offer, but it's an extraordinary college and university with enormous resources, and we hope we can describe some of those to you, but we are very collaborative. But our program, the Learning Design and Leadership, has two signature ideas that kind of represents what its goals are. And that is, no matter what domain you're in, if you're involved in transforming of people through some educational process, then we engage with the science and practice of teaching and learning across domains, from health domains to sports domains to schools to higher ed. And in particular, we focus on what the science and practice of teaching and learning means in the digital moment. Now, we started doing this before COVID, of course, because this is what we do research on and experiment about. But of course, after COVID, I don't think there's a site that isn't interested in understanding what works and what doesn't work in terms of the affordances of the digital for teaching and learning. And some of us have had terrible experiences with it because we weren't prepared for it, either as students or educators, and others were better prepared or understood what was available. But it's a complex area, it's a contested area, but it's not going away. The digital, the affordances of the digital are here for us into the future. And we explore what they mean, everything from designing courses, engaging with students, examining and evaluating their progress. I mean, everything we've done in the past has been challenged by what is possible. So that's one of the signature ideas that crosses over the courses and the programs that we offer you. The second one, which is equally important, is learner diversity across a broad range of dimensions, no matter who we're working with, whether it's adults or children, or, you know, in different areas that we are working in. People bring their interests, their identity, their anxieties, their aspirations. And in each case, we get a lot of diversity that we have to recognize, address, harness, and enable all learners of all backgrounds to reach their aspirations. Also a complicated task, contentious also, and difficult, but they're the two signature orientations to what we do. Pedagogically, we have a very particular kind of approach to the way in which we design the experiences that you will have in our program. And Bill will show you an example of what that means. But we've designed a platform called Scholar, which has 3 dimensions to it. And it's assessed in 3 ways. And this really is critically important to us, because the way you assess a program influences the way you designed it and what the content is. We are interested in knowledge. All learning is interested in knowledge and creating knowledge and enabling people to come to terms with new knowledge. So we assess one part around knowledge. The other part, because we're in an online environment for our EDD and our master's programs, engagement matters. How do you evaluate engagement? We have a tool for doing that. And thirdly, equally importantly, we have a section called help. We require people to help each other in these courses through peer-to-peer engagement, through collaborative learning, but the community of practice really matters to us, and we scaffold that. We scaffolded through the courses, which are have a flipped classroom orientation, where when we come together in synchronous sessions, we do lightning presentations and we engage around the ideas, and we reflect on the course content, on metacognition, on, you know, the kinds of skills required to grapple with the content. And equally important, we are multimodal in the way that we present materials to you. We present multimodal materials, videos, writings, audio, and we expect the students who come into our course to be able to engage in a discerning way with multimodal content and to produce it in a reasonable and acceptable and meaningful way. So in a nutshell, we have a particular lens, what we call our signature courses, and then we have a pedagogical approach, which is unique and which is enabled through the Scholar platform, which is different from a normal LMS, which is upload, download, do a quiz at the end, and maybe a chat. But anyway, Bill will demonstrate that to you. So what are the programs that we offer? Very wide range of programs. We offer non-degree and certificate specializations, and you can see there what the requirements are. These are online only. We offer a technology endorsement, which is also online or on campus, and the requirements are there listed for you. We offer master's programs, both online and on campus, and the requirements are there. And we offer a doctoral program in 2 formats. One is an EDD, which is a practice-based doctorate, which is entirely online and scaffolded in the way that I described before. And we also offer an on-campus PhD, of course, which requires you to be on campus. The online doctorate, of course, you can do it online from anywhere in the world, but the on-campus PhD has different kinds of requirements, it involves another research project and 4 research methods as opposed to 3 or 2. So it's slightly different, but you can find out more if you look into the program details on our website. But you can see there that there's a range of options in terms of the programs that are offered.
Okay, very good.
And
So
we're going to go to the courses, Bill. Oh, yes. And here's a sample of the courses, right? So that you can see what you can choose from. We have courses on what we call new learning. You know, every now and again, you know, the literature talks about new learning, but we believe the digital in our age and our time has demanded that we think of what learning is in the context of the digital and how we expand our repertoires from traditional face-to-face to digital to hybrid. So that is important. Of course, learning and human development with technologies, what does it mean? How do we humanize the technologies? How do we know when they dehumanize us? This is a very important new part of new learning. New media and learner differences. How can we use new media to enable learner differences to come to the fore of our designing and to enable people to learn in ways that make a difference and enhance their performance. Critical is assessment for learning. As I said earlier, the assessment you'll choose influences everything else. And traditional assessment, there are a lot of critiques about traditional assessment and who it serves and who it doesn't serve. And we explore all of that and we look at what assessment will look like in a digital context and in a hybrid context. Advanced learning technology for educational change, ubiquitous learning. One of the affordances of the digital is learning anywhere, anytime. What does that mean for the workplace? What does it mean for educators? How do they work together? What does it mean for learners when it's possible now to be anywhere, any place? Critically, of course, if we're talking about new learning, what kind of knowledge, what kind of learning, what kind of pedagogy? How do we expand the repertoire of pedagogies that we have and that enable us to move backwards and forwards between these new modes? And of course, new media and literacy. How do we make meaning across disciplines and in different domains? Whether it's, you know, preparing a surgeon to use robotics where they're not touching or feeling somebody, what does that mean for the meaning for both parties? So new media and literacies matters. And then of course, e-learning ecologies. How do we create ecologies, spaces and relationships that enable us to enhance the goals of our participants and our content? And finally, we have a program, a methods course called Meaning Patterns. If we're encouraging multimodality and we're saying it's the way of the future and of the present, well, how do we understand the grammar of the different modes? Alphabetical literacy, visual literacy, audio, bodies, you know, it requires a different kind of grammar than the traditional grammars that were linked to alphabetical literacy. So we can't move into these domains without those kinds of understandings. So I think you can see from what I've just described, we're not just interested in technology or tools or devices, we're interested in what it means for humans engaging in teaching and learning, whether as students or as instructors or as leaders or as designers. How do we understand the affordances of the moment and what we do? And I think Bill's put up what looks like a complicated.
Yeah, actually, folks, this is not as complicated as it looks. So what we have is we I'll give you just the general idea behind this. This is on the website, and I think Cara, or you might put the link into this page so people can look at it later. We have this idea of a ladder of learning where there's a very easy access point, which is go and do these courses. They're all available in Coursera as MOOCs. Go and do them in Coursera. If you want a little certificate that goes with it, they're free, but if you want a certificate from Coursera, it's $49. You can do a certificate as well. The technology endorsement is 5 courses if you're doing a master's degree. So the master's degree is actually 8 courses there. So what this is doing is just mapping out the additional things you might add for each degree. Then what we have is we have the EDD and the on-campus PhD. By the way, with the on-campus PhD, a lot of the courses you can do are online and can be done online. There are 2 courses, however, which are on campus. So it would be possible not to be here for the whole time during the PhD if you wanted to do that. But really what you can see with the PhD and the EDD, they're actually incredibly similar, and they end up being a qualification which has enormous currency. Some of the people doing our EDD have gone on to work in higher ed and gone to work in research jobs. So there isn't actually a big distinction between the 2. So this is a kind of a map of the previous slide with the courses. This here is a map of the different programs that these courses fit into. So what I'm going to do is go on now, and I thought, okay, so far we've been very formal about requirements. And by the way, at the end, if you've got questions, you can put them in the chat now, or we can talk about them at the end. What I thought I'd do is just briefly take you into one of our classes. So our classes are online, and as Mary said, we have been developing over a number of years an experimental online platform. We've actually had a number of big grants to do this from the US Department of Education, from the National Science Foundation, and from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So Mary and I are active researchers where we have a research lab and a research team experimenting with what the next generation of learning, digitally mediated learning environments will be like, both for face-to-face teaching, which is what's the background environment within which students work in a face-to-face context, or in a distance mode, how people can build knowledge community essentially when they're at a distance. So this environment called Scholar is something we've been building, and we continue to build it, and we enlist all our students as kind of co-designers and co-researchers in this particular process. So I'm going to escape the PowerPoint now, and I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to restart sharing right now my Firefox screen, which is this one here. And this way, this is actually the platform live. And I'm sure our students are going to mind, but I'm going to actually take you into a class which actually just finished a week or so ago. So this is, Mary mentioned the, oh, by the way, when everybody logs in before I start, everybody has a profile page, and the starting point is a page which is structured along the lines of Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn to the which has a kind of an infinite scroll. So in other words, these are things that have been happening. So this is a very strongly social space. So this is in one of the courses I'm teaching now. This person made a post, another course they made a post. But if I go down into a course, and we call these things communities. So this is going down into one community, filtering now just to this community, which is the assessment course, which this finished a couple of weeks ago. So here you can see that we've got people here doing something which we call posts and updates. So what Mary and I do here is, you can see here, these are updates that we've posted. That's just going to take a little while to come up. It's got a lot of video in it. So for example, I'll go back now and I'll find one which just, here we go, here, peer reviewed. New assessments. So this is Mary and my input. So I'm doing this live, and my internet's a little bit slow here. So when we go into one of our inputs, Mary and I have recorded these short videos. So here you can see new opportunities for assessment in the digital age. And we've produced a number of short videos like this. This one's only 9 minutes long, where we introduce the ideas to you. And this is
we've been focusing on.
So there's Mary about to give it. And then what happens is beneath that, everybody discusses it. So in our synchronous sessions, we don't do lectures. There are the lectures in these short videos. And then everybody in the class discusses what we've mentioned in that video. Now, if I go back into this community, what also happens is people in the community, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit here to find one that's got a few comments. Here, sorry, I didn't, this is just, I'm just going to find one that looks, here we go. So learning analytics, I haven't looked at this one, I'm just jumping into it live. This is somebody who's posted a comment, someone who works in a school in Taiwan in the program. She's put a video in there. She's put some information in there. And you can see here, other students have commented on the post that she's made. So I wanted to give you a feel for this environment as a very web-based, multimodal environment where people are finding videos and posting them, where people are talking to each other all the time. So it's a very, very social environment. The problem with a lot of online learning is you're off by yourself, you know, answering the quiz and moving on to the next bit, and it's the lone learner all by themselves. This is a very, very collaborative environment that we've built here in this Scholar environment. But Mary also mentioned the analytics. So this is the analytics for this course. So what happens is everybody has one of these visualizations, and Mary mentioned knowledge, engagement, and collaboration, these three measures. And what we're doing is we're data mining all the activity that you're engaged in. And by the way, we had a National Science Foundation grant to build this tool. So what we're data mining that, and see here, this is the peer review scores on some works that you've done. And when you click that, you get a full explanation as to how this is. In fact, this is crowdsourced human judgments, that we've got a rubric and people are judging what you're doing. They're making comments on what you're doing. So this is a rationale behind this particular metric. So what happens is, when you start, this is 0. As you move through as you do more work, each of these petals in this daisy, they grow. And what we say is, look, a certain number up here is an A+, a certain number's a B+, and make your own grade. So, and we're measuring you on 20-something different types of metrics. So this for us is an example of the R&D we're doing about the next generation of assessment. This is really helpful assessment because you've got machines measuring the machine evaluating what you do. You've got peers who are putting in judgments and making comments. And look, at the end of this course, an 8-week course, there were 6,300 pieces of actionable feedback, which came back to the students in the class on 1.6 million data points. So we're actually experimenting with what these social media environments are like. And of course, as you know, this is the way Facebook works. It's the way Twitter works as well. So this is kind of our imagining what the future of learning would be like. So that's a quick introduction to just to give you a feel for what the learning environment is like. We also meet every week in a synchronous session, but this is gives you a sense of the asynchronous collaborations that go on. So I'm going to go back now, and I'm going to share screen again in order to go back to the PowerPoint, which is here. And I will just let me make it a whole screen, and we'll get back to our narrative. So what I'm going to do now is hand over to Dr. Cara Francis, who works on our program, and she does an amazing job of organising and managing the support for students. So do you want to mention the kind of work that you do, Cara?
Sure. So hi, everybody. Nice to have all of you here. Yes, so we, in conjunction with the courses that Dr. Cope and Dr. Clancis teach, as well as the other faculty across the College of Education, we try to offer support to our students. You can see at the top, you've got the university-wide resources that you'll have access to as a part of the University of Illinois. The College of Education offers resources. Travis and Sangeeta from the online programs office, they offer things. And then obviously you have the LDL program team that Dr. Cope spoke of. We've got our website that hopefully you've had a chance to look at, and I've posted a few links to the chat. We offer a peer community, a student alumni community within CG Scholar. So it's not course specific. It's for everybody who is in any LDL program, whether it's a non-degree program, master's, doctorate, as well as alumni. And we really try to encourage networking and collaboration. If you've got questions about a course, or if you have questions about a career path, or maybe you have a job lead or a job need, post that to this student alumni community and connect with others in the program or alumni. We also have an informal mentoring program where we kind of help you guys connect with each other. So we kind of have a space where you can find mentors or mentees, and it's up to you guys to make those connections, but we try to provide the platform to do so. And then if you want to continue to hit enter for the other side of the slide, here are some things that we do specifically within the LDL team. Bill, if you want to advance the other side. So we've got, we do webinars. Obviously, you guys can email us at any time with any questions that you have. We send out regular emails to our students with reminders, with things that maybe you missed in a different email that came from a different group, or maybe you didn't know about a resource. For example, the library has a writing center, it has a writer's workshop. There are some amazing resources through the library that not everybody knows about. So we try to inform you guys of those and remind you of those. We do group advising sessions in addition to individual advising sessions. We find through the group advising sessions that you learn a lot from the questions that your peers might have. Similar to the courses that Dr. Clancis and Dr. Cope described, where it's not a lecture in those sessions, it's the students who are speaking and presenting, and then Dr. Cope and Dr. Clancis are giving feedback along with peers giving feedback. And so we find these group advising sessions are really a great opportunity to collaborate, connect, and learn about each other's interests, research, background, knowledge, and really grow again your network. And then I mentioned student alumni webinars, and the online programs office does a lot of those as well. So those are a great resource to take advantage of. And then we do student virtual meetups. We try to do those we try to provide some resources to help you guys connect. We've got students all over the globe. We've got Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, Australia, Israel, United Arab Emirates, obviously United States, Uruguay, Canada. And so we really try to bring you guys together as much as we can. So those are just a sample of the support that we try to provide.
Thank you very much, Cara. That's great. So this is really kind of our last slide here, which is there's lots more information on the website. So rather than us talk at you for a long, long time, we thought we'd open it up to questions. So the first question I can see there is from Kiko Tanaka. Yes, there is an advisor per student. And the answer really is you'll be communicating with several people. So on some matters, like advising matters, you'll communicate with Cara or the teaching assistant. When it comes to kind of program stuff, like, which course do I do to meet program requirements, all that kind of stuff. On academic matters, sometimes Mary, sometimes me. Also, one thing I didn't mention as well is that of course, goes without saying that the college offers a whole suite of online programs, and there are lots of other courses. We've only really mentioned the ones that are in the Learning Design Leadership program. There's the Diversity and Equity program. There is the Global Studies and Education program. There is the Human Resource Development program. What have I forgotten, Travis? But anyhow, all those programs are available. The courses, all our programs are available for you to take. In other words, if you elect to be in the Learning Design Leadership program, there's another, 50 courses that you're able to take as well and include in our program. How many students you accept that we get we accept in the EDD or the PhD? The answer is in our program about 25, right? So that's roughly what it is. you know, unfortunately, we get a lot more demand for the doctoral program than we're able to meet. We're not so restrictive with the master's program. So what effectively happens, I might say, is people sometimes start with the master's and then move over. So that's actually quite a good way to go, just, you know, to enroll for, you know, to apply and enroll for the master's and then move over. And we give priority to those already in the master's program when moving over to the doctoral program, because they're shared courses. Every single course in the master's program is also part of the doctoral program. So that kind of answers your question. As I say, there's a lot of interest and a lot of demand. So yes. Oh, good question, Sarah. The question is, can you work part-time? I'll repeat the question for the sake of people watching this recording who won't see the chat. Can you work part-time or full-time while studying for the EDD? The program is designed for you to be able to do while you're working full-time if you do one course at a time. So in other words, these are 8-week courses, and we strongly advise against people taking more than one course at a time. So that means that if you're working full-time, or if you've got significant carer responsibilities, or both, which actually most of our students have either or both of those things, we recommend you only take one course at a time. So 8-week terms in the regular semesters, and then 6-week terms during summer. So there are actually 6 terms per year. So if you look at those courses there, you can work out your minimum time to completion. But of course, what happens invariably is, you know, there's a lot of work, or somebody's having a baby, or somebody's sick in the family, and it's not lockstep cohort based. So in other words, if you need to take off a term, you know, or you don't want to study through summer or some such thing, we're very flexible about how you take that. The requirements, now let me just see if I'm jumping ahead. Requirements for the EDD program, that's easier to answer, I think. And we'll get back to Amy's question about what we're looking for. So LaShawn has asked us, what are the requirements for the EDD program? Requirements to complete the program are to do 16 4-credit hour courses, right? Of which 6 is the exam dissertation sequence. So 10 regular courses, some of the ones Mary listed earlier, you do 10 of those, including some from other programs. And then there's a 6-course exam dissertation sequence, which is very much focused on incrementally building up what you do in your dissertation. Amy asked the question is, what are we looking for in a successful EDD or PhD candidate? Mary, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, sure. I would like to do that. A doctorate, whether it's an EDD or a PhD, is the highest order qualification you can get in the academy, right? Period. So it's a journey of discovery. It enables you to do courses and relate to people so that you become an evidence-based scholar. So somebody asked, you know, about your research topic. You might have an idea about what you want to do, but it's best usually, whether it's a PhD, well, this is from our LDL program, or an EDD, to put that aside for a while, have your tentative question in your mind, and then explore widely through your literature review to discover where the gaps are in the literature and how you can contribute to the knowledge. You know, it's like another brick in the wall of academia. So you have to discover and find out whether the question you have in your mind, the passion that you have, is it something that is required? Is it something that's necessary? Who's done it before? How do you sit on the shoulders of other scholars as you move forward to make your contribution? So it's about preparing you to be a scholar, researcher, educator, transformer of others, you know, expert in knowledge, being able to profess in the field that matters to you. But it's a journey. If you have a great idea, and you know, you can write a book about a great idea, but if you take on a doctorate, it's about discovering what a great idea is and the methodology for engaging with it and coming up with findings that are meaningful and impactful. And we scaffold your journey in the EDD. In the EDD, we have a 6-course dissertation sequence where you work collaboratively with your peers for, to the 5-chapter dissertation, your literature review, your methodology, your analysis, your findings, right? But that is scaffolded. The people who do PhDs with us also participate in our early D sequence, the 6 dissertation sequence, so they are also scaffolded. You're not left on your own, you're part of a community, but what we require is that you become an expert in a field that you can profess in as a consequence of producing a dissertation. Now, how are we different, somebody asked, from the others? You have to find that out for yourself because they're all great programs. We have 4 terrific programs. They're different. Each one is different, not only in content, but in delivery and engagement. But they're wonderful professors, wonderful courses. And you have to decide where you want to go, where you want to attach yourself for your journey of discovery. It's not a cliche. That's what it will be, a journey of discovery in the academy and in order to produce a unique contribution to the field.
And Alex was asking particularly the question about how specific should we be in a research interest included within the academic statement of purpose for application. You don't have to be totally specific, to be quite frank, because as Mary says, we have a funny kind of rule of thumb, which is things never turn out the way you think they're going to be at the start. So it's actually worth having an idea about what your interest is, but it's going to, invariably it's going to change. It's never going to be quite what it is. And as Mary said, we have this evolutionary idea that as you go through, firstly, the regular courses and then the exam dissertation sequence, whatever you're doing evolves and it changes along the way. So the answer is, Alex, don't be too worried about being too specific, and certainly don't think that anyone's going to hold you to what you've said at the start, because our philosophy is exactly the opposite of that.
Do you know what we look for? Some of us, at least I'll just talk for myself, you look for passion, that somebody is passionate about an area, curious about an area, and can articulate that, because although we encourage multimodality, and in fact, we had one doctoral EDD student produce a thesis, a dissertation, all in videos plus text, in a multimodal way. You need to be able to write, to search, to construct knowledge. So your statement gives us a hint of that about you.
And look, there's a question there from Ashley about fellowship, scholarship, and funding opportunities. Unfortunately, look, honestly, they're quite limited. We have, a limited capacity for teaching assistants, but it's pretty limited, to be quite frank. And Mary and I also have an ongoing research program. So, probably just to give you an idea, Mary and I have a project in veterinary education at the moment, which has employed 2 of our students as teaching assistants and therefore as research assistants, who then get fee waivers. We've got several other projects going. So Mary and I have perhaps 6 or 10 people who we're supporting and their fees get waived. But it's pretty limited, and it's usually people who are already in the program. So we, for example, with this veterinary project we've got at the moment, we just put out a call amongst our students, would you like to be involved as a research assistant for, in this case, it's 10 hours a week. That gives them a fee waiver. So we do have some opportunities, but unfortunately they're reasonably limited.
For the in-person PhD, there is a range of other opportunities. You can look them up, or ask somebody like Jenna or others what opportunities there are across the campus, not just within our programs. So there are different fellowships and support programs. you don't have to get support only from your department and your college. You can look for it across the campus as well. And one more thing, the PhD, of course, costs different. The cost structure of the in-person PhD is different from the cost structure of the online EDD. So you need to be mindful of those differences as well.
So only because on campus is more expensive than online. That's the reason why there. So just let me go back here. Oana, I just don't know how that works. Perhaps Gina, do you know the answer to that? I'll just read out the question for the sake of the people who won't be seeing the chat later on. For those who might have a reimbursement program through their work, is there a way to defer payment until the end of every semester? Gina, do you know the answer to that?
You would need to contact the university bursar office to make arrangements.
Okay, brilliant. There's the answer.
Yeah.
So,
And just to add in there are ways that you can sign up for that with your employer through the bursar's office.
okay, wonderful. Thank you, Travis and Jenna. Now, if someone with an existing master's degree in the field is to go to do a master's and then a doctor's, okay, these are these things where you go master's, then move over to doctorate. The answer is exactly the same time to complete. Doesn't make a difference. When do we expect to announce our decisions? Well, the deadline is April 15, and we will try and do it relatively quickly. Gina, Travis, what's normally the timeline for announcing the outcomes after the April 15 deadline?
All decisions should be sent to students by May 15th.
Okay, there you go. 4 weeks, a month. Fantastic. Very good. Which means we've got lots of work reading, lots of applications. So that's fun.
One thing you also need to know is that the U of I brand is extraordinarily strong, as is the college brand. I mean, our students across all our concentrations and across all our programs are employed to a great extent and very quickly. And also we have a lot of career changes, and they also regard what they gain from our college and our university as milestones towards a new career. So the brand is, and you know, we're Australians, we've come from elsewhere to the U of I and to Illinois, but it's an extraordinary university, and the brand has a lot of weight out in the employment world, irrespective of the field.
Now, you should all take this with a grain of salt, which is the ranking business. But in the ranking business for our master's degree, we're ranked number 3 in the United States. And that's out of 326 programs, if I'm not wrong. So, and we don't believe the 1 and 2 deserve better than the 1 and 2 people. So anyhow, that's it. As I say, take it with a grain of salt. Take all the rankings with a grain of salt. But I thought I'd mention that.
Bill, as Cara has put up, we're also trying other things, like we don't have to lose you as graduates. So we are trying to enable you to publish. So we've set up a journal. We want you to collaborate with each other about jobs and research opportunities. So we've set up an alumni network. So, and that's part of the affordances of the digital. It's not you finish your course and you're gone and there are no more benefits from the college or university that you're a part of. We're exploring that ongoing continuous relationship as well. And Cara and our TAs have been significant in designing those offerings to the broader student body.
Now, Alex has a question, which I'll read out, which is, can you break down the differences between the specialisation focus areas for LDL General, New Learning and Technology Specialist? Actually, there are almost no differences, Alex, and it's really a set of historical accidents. The technology, we came together with the merger of several programs. So initially, Mary and I were involved in the New Learning program. Technology Specialist, by the way, was the old curriculum technology education reform program, which was we believe, the first fully online degree in the world, 1998. That's how long we've been doing that. So it's really exactly the same courses. It doesn't appear in your transcript. It's just a set of historical things where the different courses we have came together from those historical programs. So nothing to worry about, Alex, but just it's a set of historical accidents, essentially.
Now, Carla, what makes an EDD application stand out? From my perspective, it's about a sense of purpose, not just wanting a qualification for the qualification's sake, but because you want to contribute to knowledge, you want to make a difference in the world. And that stands out for us.
Richard has a question here. I'm just moving forward now. I hope I haven't missed anything. Please, folks, if you think I've missed something, pick up with me. I'm a long way to go down the list. Richard took these courses as MOOCs, and you took 487 and 483 for credit. The second two will count for credit. The MOOCs won't, but what you can do with the MOOCs is, if you've done we require more work than's required in the MOOC. Presumably you'll find doing the course easy, and you might be able to reuse or extend some of the work that you've done there. But 472 and 483, I'm sure that's the instructional design thing. Certificate, I think it is. I'm trying to think what it is. Anyhow, yes, they do count for credit.
And Jenna can confirm that.
Through Coursera.
Is that correct, Jenna? Are we right?
Yes, if you took EPOL 472 and 483 as part of the Master Track Instructional Design Program, those courses can transfer into any College of Education graduate program. But if you took those as a MOOC, because they're also offered that way, then they don't count.
Right.
Okay, now I'm just looking down here. What are some more questions? I can see some of these ones have been there.
I also wanted to, if there are any questions about the masters, just wanted to let people know that they could ask questions about the EDM also.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. So Rosalind asked a question about the best path to study. Again, there's a fair, I'm not sure what by path, whether you mean program, but certainly with those qualifications that you mentioned there, you've got a BA and MAT, 12 years classroom teacher education experience, middle and high school, 1 year instructional design. You'd be very well placed in this particular program. And in terms of the path, when you get there, some of the material on our website gives you an indication of the kind of courses you might choose. Yes, and by the way, Kate asked the question, would success in the certificate positively affect the application? Please emphasize that in the application and emphasize it up front so we notice it, right? Because we will prioritize people who have already been working at the U of I and working successfully. Because we have so many applicants, that's just the way we have to do it. And some of the people who don't make it in, we say, look, why don't you do some courses first, and it'll help you get in the next round. The EDM and the certificate are just simply different amounts of work. And what you can do is the certificate is just 3 courses, the EDM is 8 courses. You can start with one and move over to the other. Yes, that's the Master Track program. Yes, that's a 2-course program offered in conjunction with Coursera. And that's another pathway too, by the way. So yeah, of course. Mary and I, by the way, the LDL courses, we don't teach those courses. The people who teach those courses are actually in the HRD program, Human Resource Development Program, just in terms of but by the way, they do count for credit in our program. So it's, that's the way that can work. Some doctoral programs are a thesis, others accept having 3 publications to be submitted as a thesis, others actually approved implemented projects at the station. All right, that's a very good question, Oana, which is what's accepted for the EDD at the U of I. Our starting point is simply the classical dissertation structure where you do a new piece of work. And it's simply the classical 5-chapter dissertation. And the reason why we do that is it's straightforward, it's recognizable, it's the conventional genre, and it's often the easiest way to go through. However, we do allow other options. So, for example, we do have a person now. I'll give you one example, working in legal education. He's somebody who's interested in clinical legal education, right? And he is actually publishing as he goes. It's not a classic 5-chapter dissertation. And what he's doing is producing works that he's publishing along the way. So our starting point is it's easier to do the conventional genre, and it's more recognizable to employers and more recognizable in a whole lot of ways. But we do have a fair bit of flexibility about what we would allow for a dissertation. So yeah, that's.
And we love the more creative you are and the more adventurous you are. We love that because we want to contribute to the scholarship around doctorates in a way that's really meaningful for making a difference in the field that you're in the grounded kind of experience that you're in. And so we're very happy to support students who have creative ideas and want to do it in ways that is more impactful for their domain than the traditional 5-chapter dissertation.
Yes, I mean, in the case of this particular person doing the legal, the 5-chapter dissertation didn't work because there's not a piece of empirical research that he's doing. Likewise, Mary mentioned before, one of our students did a dissertation about video, which had a lot of video in it. Video as a research methodology. So it was very different as well. So yeah, there's a lot of flexibility about the way in which the dissertations can be. Just a matter of discussing it with us and negotiating it. Yeah, and there's a lot, as Mary said, there's a lot of peer review. So one of the big criticisms of the doctoral process is that you're on your own with this huge piece of work, which becomes a kind of an albatross around your neck, the metaphorical albatross. But what we do is we break it up into a lot of small sections where there's a lot of peer review and a lot of peer interaction. So we meet with all the students who are involved in our dissertation sequence every week in a synchronous session where they present about what they're doing and we give kind of counseling and advice. But also there's a lot of peer review. So if there are, I don't know, I'm trying to guess now, there's 5 or 6 steps in the process where you do literature review, methodology, you write up your results, and at every point you're giving others feedback on their dissertations and they're giving you feedback on yours. And what we're trying to do with that actually is model classical academic processes which involve peer review, whether it's submitting a journal article or whether it's writing a research proposal. Peer review is a big part of the knowledge ecologies of academia. So that's one of the reasons why we do that.
A lot of
Diego,
Gina, a program. Oh, sorry, Bill. I was just going to add that some people feel very kind of not very comfortable with peer review initially because they think it's sort of the blind leading the blind. But our research over many years now has demonstrated that peer review is can be equivalent to expert feedback. And so we encourage, assist, enable, and give a grade to peer review, so that it becomes a natural part of the way in which scholarship and evidence-based researchers are prepared. Sorry, Bill.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, no, absolutely. Any more questions, folks? I might say as well, if you want to know a bit more about us, I'll stop sharing now, actually, and we can see everybody. Mary and I have a website and a blog. So, obviously in the nature of academic work, this program is based on a lot of the ideas that we have. So I'm going to just give me one moment and I'll put a link in there. But any more questions at the moment about the program? Mary, I might get you to add these, read out the next couple of questions and answer them.
Which questions are they?
The bottom ones, the most recent ones.
If we add a picture of how many of your books we have, will that help? There's not enough space to add all the books. I'm sorry to say that. We are workaholics. But yes, citing us will help you. You know what? Citing anyone will help you. Anyone you want to get to, the truth is, it's the citation system that kind of lifts you in their estimation. That's what every academic wants.
Oh, don't do it. Mary's being facetious.
No, I'm not. I'm being honest. The whole citation culture in the universities, I cite you, you cite me, we cite, because that's how promotion happens. That's how impact happens. So the culture of citation is a big part of the university system, and we all like it, even when we pretend we don't.
Actually, I'm about to put a link here. This link is to Mary and I in the Scholar platform run a blog, which is called New Learning. And what I'd like to invite everybody to do is to take that link there and join that community. So create a Scholar account for yourself and join that community. And that way you'll get a little bit of a feel for the work that we do. So you'll be able to see this without a login, but if you create an account and then join this community, you will get, this is really just announcements about our research work and things we've recently published as well. So that's a way to kind of get a sense of the kind of ideas that we're working with and the kind of work that we do ourselves as scholars. Getting back to the thing about citation, I have a kind of a theory about academic work and academics. It's a gossip network. And the answer is, if you want to know what's happening in the world of ideas, follow the gossip. If you find something you really like, look at what they like, look at what they're citing and follow the links. So yeah, that's my kind of my take. I spend a lot of my time doing this, which is, oh, that's great. Who are they talking about? And yeah, follow the gossip.
And we do support international work. Our college does. We have a unit here that focuses on ensuring that our students get international experience, all of them, if possible. But yes, doing research internationally, of course, is supported, and collaborating internationally is supported.
Kate, you don't need to have been published prior to application. So, we're not assuming that at all. So yeah.
Just have a good, strong purpose about why you want to spend so much of your life focused on a very challenging journey of discovery. And it is challenging because you have to learn to write in different ways. You can't write in to, you can't be opinionated, you can't be knowledgeable. It's about what you learn, not what you know. And some people find that really difficult. They want to come in and kind of pour out everything they know, do a mind up. And that's not what a dissertation is about. It really is a journey of discovery. You're going to go up blind alleys as you look to see where the important areas that you can contribute to are. It's exciting. At least I think it's exciting. It's wonderful to be open to discovery, what you don't know.
And by the way, I'm going to put in, I'm in the business of putting in links at the moment. We also have a Facebook page where a lot of what happens in the New Learning site, if you don't want to set up an account, that's another place where you might go and join. And a lot of what comes out of the New Learning blog in Scholar, we then push out into Facebook as well. Not quite the same, but it's kind of, that's another place if you want to stay connected with the work that we do.
Yeah. And Cara, as you can see, she's answering all your questions. She will answer all the questions. She knows things better than Bill and I do, and Jenna too. She knows we sometimes make mistakes about processes and university procedures, but those two women, they know it all and they will be very helpful to you. So do reach out to them.
Yeah, and I just want to thank everybody for all the great questions and everything tonight. We've gone a little bit over time, which is totally fine. Great to see all of the good questions. I did want to just let everyone know that if they have further questions that weren't answered, they can reach us at gradservices@education.illinois.edu. And Cara also put her email in there, kstucki@illinois.edu. And she can help answer questions about the LBL program, especially EDD, having been an alumni as well. With that, if there's not anything else, just want to thank everybody for coming. Our recording will go out of the session afterwards to everyone. I want to thank you all for attending to this evening.
Right. Bye-bye to all of you. Thank you. And thank you for your great questions and your interest in our program. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. See you.